I have an illustration today that I'm very excited about sharing with you. Welcome to the 2020 New Testament Challenge. Today we're in John chapter 14. Here in John chapter 14, Jesus is speaking to his disciples one last time. They're in the upper room, and this is part of the Last Supper. And he says to them, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. I'm going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again to take you to be with me where I am." One of the disciples, Thomas, said, "We don't know where you're going, so how do we know the way?" Jesus then said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Jesus continued to speak to them and give them encouraging words. And then he told them something that's extremely encouraging, not only to the disciples, but to you and me as well. He said to them in verse 15, "If you love me, you will obey what I command. And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another counselor who will be with you forever. The Spirit of truth. The world cannot accept him because it neither sees him nor knows him, but you know him, for he lives with you and will be in you. I will not leave you as orphans." This is exciting news. And then he said in verse 20, "And on that day you will realize that I am in the Father, and you are in me, and I am in you." A long time ago, I read a book by Bill and Annabelle Gillum. And in that book, they talked about this very verse, verse 20, and they illustrated it in such a way that it impressed me, and I wanted to share it now with you. I have a piece of paper that says Jesus. I have a small envelope that has the word me on it. I have a larger envelope that has the word Jesus. And then I have an even larger envelope that has God on it. Let me work backwards on this verse. Again, verse 20 says, "And on that day you will realize that I am in the Father, and you are in me, and I am in you." So let me take the small piece of paper first. Jesus said that I am in you. And so this piece of paper goes into the small envelope entitled me. But then Jesus also said that you are in me. And so now let me take the larger envelope and put myself with Jesus inside that larger envelope. But then Jesus said, "And I am in the Father." So I'm taking these envelopes and placing it into the larger envelope with God on it. So Jesus said, "I am in the Father, you are in me, and I am in you." This is very encouraging because what this is saying to you and to me is that anything that comes into our life, first, it passes through God. It goes through Jesus before it ever gets to me. But once it gets to me or to you, Jesus is in us to handle it. So if there's a temptation that comes our way, we can handle it. We can say no to it because we're not working in our own strength. Because it first went through God, through Jesus before it got to us, but Jesus is in us to give us the ability to be victorious over it. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Whatever the situation is, whatever trouble we face, whatever the situation is that seems so overwhelming, we need to realize that we are not alone, but that it's gone through God, through Jesus before it ever got to us, and then Jesus is in us to handle it. So what do we need to do? We need to thank the Lord that we are not alone, but that he is with us, that he is in us, and he will give us the strength to see us through, no matter what it is. For Jesus said, "On that day you will realize that I am in the Father, that you are in me, and I am in you." This is extremely comforting, and this is extremely encouraging because is there anything that God can't do? So if he is in us and it was permitted to get to us through him, then he'll see us through as well. God is good. Thank you for joining the 2020 New Testament Challenge.